I majored in finance so I wouldn't get screwed. Right. Did you know that was the working title of Perfect Day? So all along, that's what the book I wrote. I majored in finance so I wouldn't get screwed. Obviously, the publisher, oh, do you see the resemblance? Boop, boop, boop. Obviously, the publisher didn't like it. Whatever. The month of November with Wink. Welcome to What Investors Need to Know Now. We're talking about the best investment advice or the best advice, okay? Best advice I got was major in finance so I wouldn't get screwed, right? But that's not why you're here today. November, we're talking about the best investment advice you've been given. And as I continue to sort of surf the internet and poll the audience and poll the crowd, what I'm seeing consistently pop up, and it is absolutely true and good advice, which is invest now, harness the power of compound longer than potentially even that of gravity. So if you start today, that's the key. So what can I put behind that? I did want to put something behind that was a little more fun, which is this saying. I don't know if you've heard of it. And it kind of is good advice. So I'll give you some stats around it. But the saying of sell in May and go away. Have you ever heard that? So I wanted to say the Farmer's Almanac, but the Stock Traders Almanac, just like the Farmer's Almanac, tracks statistics for the stock market. And you can actually get statistics that will tell you, well, did sell in May go away? Is that actually a thing? Should you sell your portfolio in May and then go away? And what are the statistics of that? Well, our friends at Dorsey Wright and Associates, now owned by NASDAQ, I've been using them as my black box and repository of all data and all things stock market. They track this data and reported that if you looked at from 1950, and I want to get my stats here, if you looked at from 1950, the statistics of sell in May and go away, which, by the way, it's November. So why are we talking about this? Well, the sell in May and go away ends in October. So the seasonally strong period of investing is supposed to be, and we're going to find out in a minute, supposed to be November to April. So is it a good idea to say sell in May and go away and then just invest November to April? I wish we could poll the crowd here and see a show of hands. I'll tell you, there's overwhelming data about the idea of investing only in the months of May to October, the sell in May and go away idea. If you went back to 1950, and put $10,000 into the Dow Jones Industrials Average, invested it only in the months of May to October, you would have earned over those from 1950 until 2020 a very paltry, your $10,000 balance would have grown to a little over $13,000. So very, very small return. It's an average annual return of under 1%. Conversely, if you took the same balance, $10,000, only in November to April, that's what your balance would have been. $1.2 million. $1.2 million. So that is an average annual return of about 7.51% of the seasonally strong months of November through April. So what does this mean? Does it mean you should sell in May and go away? I say no, because I wanted to bring you this statistic, which is very important. The idea of buy and hold, if you just bought and held the Dow Jones over that same time period, you would have earned just a little bit more than that of the seasonally strong periods. In fact, you would have earned about 8.49% versus that 7.51 for the seasonally strong period. So it's kind of the same return. It is a different risk metric, right? Because you're in the stock market twice as long. But really, are we really good enough to choose when to sell and to go away? Do you sell in May? Do you sell May 1? Do you sell May 20? Do you sell May 15? Do you go back in October 30? Or do you go back in November 15? So these are those kind of games that I think the best advice is to not play them. I don't necessarily subscribe to buy and hold. I believe that you can have a buy and hold and a little bit of a tactical overlay with, for example, taking into account the idea of seasonally and repeatedly and statistically strong seasonality, like investing May to April, which, by the way, is now. So should you be invested now? Yes. Are you stuck? If you're stuck, then the seasonality statistics around investing in the months of November to April should encourage you. I mean, when I look at the stats going back to, like I said, 1950, let's see. The last time we had a negative period during November to April was 2019. You would have lost about 10%. Before that, it was 2007. You would have lost about 8% over those months. So it's very, very few instances. If you look at, again, that November to April time frame, that you would have lost money investing in, say, the Dow. So the point is to invest often, invest early. And now, if you're feeling a little stuck or feeling like, should I increase my 401k contribution, or should I finish out those IRA or 401k or fill in the blank, savings investments, now would probably be a good time. Because why? It's also a Chinese proverb, right? The Chinese have also given us some good advice. One about a tree. Many have heard me say this before, but when's the best day to plant a tree? Well, if you didn't plant a tree 20 years ago, the best day to plant a tree is today. I want to follow this up with, I mentioned this morning in 401 Live that I talk a little bit about inflation and what that may or may not be doing to the stock market and what it might mean to you. You know, supply chain issues are real. People are seeing empty shelves in the grocery store, or empty shelves at the big box stores. People are very keenly aware that they are not going to get Christmas items if you don't order them now. So what does that mean for the stock investor? Well, you know, I feel like when we talk about the idea of stock picking and the best advice, a lot of you are looking for those single individual stock names. And I am no Jim Cramer. Buy, or sell. I'm no Jim Cramer. But anyway, I thought you might appreciate some of his wisdom, and he's got some good nuggets to offer. I will tell you that he is a seasoned veteran of the stock market, and I'll tell you, of late, he says, forget about it all, investors. There are so many opportunities out there in tech, and pharma, and banking. So these are inflation opportunity type stock areas you could be focusing on and find many great opportunities, says Jim Cramer, and you heard it here too. I tend to agree. You know, and lastly, following up on and adding to this idea of you need to start investing, you need to start now, whether it's in May or if it's in November, just get started, because the power of compounding is the strongest effect that will ever help you retirement years. This is page 5 of the Liberated Investor. Download the Liberated Investor today. You can find it at alphavest.com on our resources tab. It's a free download. It's 13 easy, simple pages to read. We'll give you email tips along the way to help you be accountable and follow through on the 4 things you can do to become liberated and to beat Wall Street at its games of excessive fees and conflict of interest and just this buy and hold stale, just sitting tight, and maybe not having an overlay of sell in May and go away. There's a piece of that can work with an advisor that knows what they're doing. But I wanted to share this from page 5 of the Liberated Investor. If you have 35 years until you retire and you earn 7%, just 7% on those funds, as I just reported to you from 1950 until now, The Dow returned a little over 8.5%. So it's very doable. So 35 years, if you have $25,000 today in the market and 35 years until retirement, then that balance should grow to a little over $227,000. Okay. So the point is just to get started and to get started today. All you have to do is put that in the account, whether it's a Roth or a savings account that you're going to invest in, low cost index funds and/or, an actively managed portfolio like we do at AlphaVest. Just do it. Get unstuck and get started today. So with that, thanks for joining us for What Investors Need to Know Now. Make sure you join us for 411 Live every Monday morning, 5:30 a.m. on Facebook. That is Facebook page is at Cokie Perfect Day 411. And join us back here next week for, let's see, we'll have 2 more weeks of the best investment advice that we can give in the month of November. So thanks for joining.